YouTube, what's up? Welcome back to D's Corner. Apologize for the late entry. I was supposed to have Trade Talk Tuesdays up yesterday. Had some technical difficulties. I started to just do a live video and shoot from the top with it, but it is what it is. We just gonna rock with how we gotta rock with. Got to get my webcam fixed so I can start doing a little bit more videos where you can see my face and kind of go off with it instead of more of these podcast style videos, but it is what it is. So again, like I said, welcome back to D's Corner. I'm gonna go ahead. I'm still gonna do Trade Talk Tuesdays, just gonna give it to you a day late. Apologize for that, but it's a crazy NFL season, with the pandemic and COVID going on. The Titans had a breakout, forced the Steelers to have a week 4 bye, which I'm sure they're not excited about, especially leading their division. The Texans fired Billy O'Brien, finally, after all the bonehead decisions he's made as a general manager. As a Colts fan, it's bittersweet because the guy has won the division quite a few times, but he's made some of the dumbest decisions as well, and it's kind of bittersweet, like I said, because if they get one of these fire coaches like Eric Bieniemy in there with Desean Jackson, you got to think, man, what's their offense going to start looking like? But then you got to remember, Billy O made a lot of bonehead decisions, so they don't even have a first or second round pick in this upcoming draft this year. And they got a bunch of money spent out in left tackle, Larry Tunsil, Deshaun Watson, David Johnson, Brandon Cooks. They have to pay Will Fuller. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to jump right into the video, man. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Please help my channel grow. I'm seeking some followers. I'm seeking some input so that I can get some better quality style videos out. Some of the stuff that I watch, trying to play with some different softwares and whatnot on my free time, in between being a husband, raising kids, and working, man. It's tough, but I'm giving YouTube everything that I got left. So like I said, here we go. Trade Talk Tuesdays. A couple people that I think should be traded as far as for themselves and as well as for the reasoning, their team being complete trash, Falcons, or them just not getting as much playing time as they normally would or normally have been. So let's go ahead, let's jump right into the video. First up, we got Desmond King, all-pro slot corner from the Los Angeles Chargers. The pickup of Chris Harris and the injury of Derwin James, I thought they would probably put King back at safety. He's a thicker build corner, very good with the ball. Like I said, a couple years ago, actually I think last year or the year before, he was an all-pro slot corner. So, this guy can play, this guy can ball. I'm not sure why he's not getting much playing time right now, but the Chargers are winless. Or did they beat? I actually think they beat the Bengals. I'm firing off the top of the head right now, so forgive me for that. But either way, the Chargers aren't doing much of anything. They do have a lot of stuff going for them as far as a good rookie quarterback who I may have been wrong about with Justin Herbert, because the kid's throwing the ball all over the yard. The Chargers, they have one win. So right now they're not going anywhere. They're at the bottom of the AFC West. Desmond King could bring them some future assets. They did trade away their second round pick in the move up to get linebacker Murray out of Oklahoma. And this last year also drafting Justin Herbert, like I said. But he's not playing a lot. He's still young. Like I said, he's an all-pro. There's teams out there that could use him in a variety of ways. And I think he would give you a good return on your investment with trading him. The next few players, I don't think a lot of people will agree with me. But when you have your team is just fired their head coach, fired their GM because he was one and the same, you don't have a lot of cap. You don't have a first or second round pick. You have to consider getting rid of some of these players to recoup something, because what else is going to attract a head coach like Eric Bieniemy to the Houston Texans outside of Deshaun Watson? Because he can't do it all by himself. you're going to have to support him with a solid defense, which they have had. But you got to think of the players that Billy O'Brien's given up. He's given up Jadeveon Clowney. He's given up D-Hop for a fourth and a third. Jadeveon Clowney got a third for D-Hop. He got fourth and David Johnson for. But he traded 2 1s and a 2 for Laramie Tunsil and Kenny Stills. Like I said, the dude made a bunch of bonehead decisions as the GM, but a couple Texan players that I think could give them some draft capital, depending on where they are, and based off of where they are in their career and the production that they have put on film. One of those is safety Justin Reed. Justin Reed, I think, is a really good safety. He has made a lot of plays in the Houston Texans secondary, but their secondary is not good. He's one of the bright spots there, but he's young. They'll need to pay him, and like I said, when you're bringing in a new coach, sometimes change has to happen, unless they're going to keep Romeo Crennel as their head coach, which is highly doubtful. It's very possible he could come back as the DC, but I think it's going to be a cleaning of the house because there's too many people that Billy O brought in and they're still there. So if you get rid of Justin Reed, you could probably get a third or a fourth round pick for him, and like I said, get you some more draft capital. This draft coming up is nice. It has depth, especially in the secondary. There's a lot of corners that can play safety, a lot of safeties that can play corner. You have some safeties who will probably transition to linebacker, but it's deep. It's deep and it's really talented. And you can replace him. He's somebody that is replaceable. It's not like he's back there being a young Earl Thomas or a young Eric Berry. He's someone that will get you, like I said, probably a fourth round pick, maybe a third round pick to a safety needy team, somebody like the Dallas Cowboys possibly. But I think Justin Reed is a player that the Houston Texans should consider trading. Also, I think they should consider trading Benardrick McKinney, who's their inside linebacker. He is a huge thumper. He has been fantastic since he's gotten with the Texans. Him and Zach Cunningham make a nice duo, but you just paid Cunningham. McKinney's winding down on his contract, and he's getting up there in age. So when you factor in all that, like I said, and you're getting a new head coach anyways, sometimes it's cleaning of the house with the coaching staff, and sometimes it's cleaning of the house with some of the players. Benardrick McKinney is a player that you don't want to trade him to someone like the New England Patriots, but that would be like a great fit for him. Also, a team like the Philadelphia Eagles who need linebacker help. I could see the Minnesota Vikings biting on it as well. You think about some of these teams that are just running the ball crazy, who would need a big thumper linebacker. A team like the Las Vegas Raiders would also probably be a good position for him. Someone stout in the middle. Also, I think the Texans should consider trading Mr. J.J. Watt. J.J. Watt's getting older. J.J. Watt has a ton of injuries. At the end of the day, the three players, Justin Reed, Benardrick McKinney, and J.J. Watt, you haven't won a game this year with them. So trading them is not going to really make you any worse. You already don't have a first-round pick. You don't have a second-round pick. The Steelers would be able to use J.J. Watt. I think he would fit in there perfectly. They have his little brother. I think that would be a win-win trade for both the Houston Texans and the Pittsburgh Steelers. Plus, I think both Watt brothers would welcome it. Actually, both his brothers, Derek and TJ, are both there. So there would be the Watt brother reunion up in the Steel City. Another player I think should be traded. This guy's from the Detroit Lions, and that's Mr. Carrion Johnson, formerly of Auburn, the running back. Right now, DeAndre Swift is stepping up his game. He is way more electric than Carrion Johnson. He brings more value as a pass catcher out the backfield than Carrion Johnson does. They do have Adrian Peterson, who can take DeAndre Swift up under his wing and teach him the ins and outs of it, especially on how to take care of his body. When you think Adrian Peterson is 35, 36 years old, still going strong. Just last weekend, he ran through Marcus Williams of the Saints to get into the end zone. I think those two would be my backs going forward, and I would see what I could get out of Carrion Johnson in trade value. Anyways, even if it was player for player or player for picks, it's not always going to be a player for picks type deal. Sometimes it is player for player, but I would gauge interest. It's very difficult to try to get someone to trade for a running back, especially with Billy O'Brien being gone now as a head coach. But I would gauge interest across the league for Carrion Johnson. The Dallas Cowboys, who should be 0-4 if it wasn't for the mentally ill Atlanta Falcons. I think they should consider trading quite a few people, to be honest with you, but you have to think about their big money guys. I honestly believe that they would not have signed Amari Cooper if they knew CeeDee Lamb was going to fall into their lap, because Cooper gives up on a lot of plays. He checks out on games. He played well at home last year, terrible on the road. And this past Sunday against the Browns, it was a slant that got picked off. He didn't even try for it. But they just signed him, so I highly doubt he'll be traded. But one player they should consider trading is DeMarcus Lawrence. This guy's making $21 million a year. Way too much money to have so little production. He doesn't have a sack at all this year. And he had enough nerve to get on TV and say that he thinks that their defense is playing soft, and that's including him. He has been playing soft since he's gotten paid. He has not produced anything since being paid, and it's possibly time for a change of scenery. It's very difficult to win in the NFL. Jerry Jones makes the Dallas Cowboys somehow America's team every year. Everybody talks about how talented their roster is, and every year they find a way to be the Dallas Cowboys. If I'm Mike McCarthy, if I'm going to talk to Jerry Jones, DeMarcus Lawrence is making way too much money not to be producing, especially when we have Dorrance Armstrong behind him, as well as Bradley Anae, who we drafted in this past draft. We got some young guys who are a lot cheaper, who are a lot hungrier, and who are going to play their butts off more because they're not comfortable like DeMarcus Lawrence is. And DeMarcus Lawrence's name value may still be able to net you a decent draft pick. The Atlanta Falcons, I feel like they should trade Julio Jones. It's very, very hard to say. Some players, you just think that they'll always be on one team. Me being a Colts fan, that was Peyton Manning. I always thought Peyton Manning would never be anything but a Colts, but he ended up being a Bronco. Look at Tom Brady. He's down in Tampa now. Julio is older. Julio has dealt with some nagging injuries. Their team is not doing well, regardless of them just paying him. Calvin Ridley seems to be producing at a better rate than him. Calvin Ridley is younger than him. Calvin Ridley is their future. Pretty soon, Matt Ryan will be gone. You want to be ahead of that curve. It's best to be a year early on getting rid of a player instead of a year late. That's the Bill Belichick mantra. But I think Julio Jones would actually get you some decent draft capital. You have to come up off of some of this big money value. Keanu Neal's another player I would consider trading. He's always hurt. And he's coming up on his 5th-year option, so he's going to need paid if you're going to keep him. Tack McKinley, they've already declined his 5th-year option. He's not really producing much, but out of everyone on the Atlanta Falcons team, I feel like they should consider trading Julio Jones. There are some teams out there that would pay a buku haul of draft picks for Julio, just based off his name. Julio is still talented. Julio still has the size and the speed. He can still be a dominant receiver. They're just not doing it in Atlanta. If you think about Cam Newton with the Patriots, I feel like the Patriots, who barely use their first-round picks anyways, I think that would be a nice pickup for the Patriots. You give Cam Newton another big-bodied wide receiver that he needs, especially with Julian Edelman looking like a shell of himself. I really think that would be a good pickup. And last on my trade list is Mr. Desean Jackson. The Philadelphia Eagles have overhauled their wide receiver room, and they're all hurt. They're still playing with no names. They're still playing with guys no one's heard of. They're still playing with guys that they're signing off the street. Desean Jackson has been back for 2 years now, hasn't really made an impact. I believe he's on IR dealing with some soft tissue injuries. But once he comes back, Carson Wentz isn't really doing anything. Your team is not trending upwards. Get you what you can. I mean, you got Rigor out of TCU, who's basically going to be Deshaun's replacement next year anyways. I don't see them re-signing Desean. I don't see them keeping him after this year. Get what you can get. You signed the man. You did not get a return on your investment. Now it's time to try to seek out a good ROI. Another, like I said, the New England Patriots. Desean Jackson would be perfect there as well, because with Cam Newton and you running the read option, then you just pop up, hit those quick slants, what Desean is great at. He could take a 5-yard slant, hit his head on the goalpost. I mean, that guy's still fantastic. The guy's still a burner. And New England needs options out wide. Cam Newton, when he comes back from COVID, hopefully he gets a good bill of health and recovers quickly. But Cam Newton is making this team his own. He's really still being Cam Newton, still dressing how he dressing, still playing how he playing, still having a lot of fun, bringing some enthusiasm to the team. And right now, I don't think the Eagles have that. Desean Jackson would embrace that. Desean Jackson would embrace a new start, and he would embrace the opportunity to play for a coach like Bill Belichick. I really think these players all deserve to be traded. Actually, I do have one more person that I feel like should be traded. I feel like his career is going downward if he remains on this team, and this team will also be firing its head coach, I'm quite sure, 100% at the end of the season. But LeVeon Bell deserves to be traded. He deserves to play for a team that can utilize his talents. A team like the Arizona Cardinals. LeVeon Bell with Kenyon Drake, Kyler Murray, you got D-Hop, Larry Fitzgerald. That offense now looks fantastic. You add LeVeon Bell in there with how decisive he is as a runner, how he sets up his blocks, and how patient he is. Man, that read option there would look something serious. I really think these teams need to trade these players. It would be in the benefit of both the player and the team. Most of these teams are winless. The Eagles barely got a win. The Falcons are winless. The Chargers have 1 win. The Texans are winless. And I believe the Detroit Lions and the Dallas Cowboys both have 1 win. The Cowboys, like I said, should be completely defeated. I would consider trading everybody, especially if they're going to keep Dak Prescott. Dak is making plays, but you need defense. You need some defensive talent. And the only way that you're going to be able to do that outside of free agency, there is still Earl Thomas out there, but you guys are going to have to make some moves. The trade deadline is October 29th. I will try to get out another Trade Talk Tuesday. I'll try to do it every Tuesday up until the actual trade deadline. These are players, again, that I feel should be traded. I feel that they would benefit from a fresh start somewhere else, even though it is crazy. We'll see how trades work this year with the pandemic and everything, the quarantine requirements that teams have to go through, and the passing of the physicals and the passing of the COVID test and all that. You want to see if the teams will be extremely active during the trade deadline. Not really sure, but we'll see how it goes, But again, I apologize for the late video. So this video is technically Trade Talk Wednesday. But like I said, every Tuesday, Trade Talk Tuesday up until the 29th when the trade deadline hits. These are the players that I feel need to be traded, deserve to be traded, and their team needs to try to gain something off of them because they are in decline or just not cutting it out with the team that they're currently on. I appreciate all the love, man. I appreciate you guys watching, taking your time. But again, here at D's Corner, we out of here.
Okay, now. I'm the top dog in the league, homie. Yeah. Let's speak on it. This stretch for anybody to reach on me. Just breathe on it, don't tell them. They gotta know it's me on it. Won't kick it on me and go for 3 on you. You couldn't guard me with the cleanest armor. I got it covered. D's Corner. I'm the top dog in the league, homie. Let's speak on it. This a stretch for anybody to reach on me. Just breathe on it, don't tell them. They gotta know it's me on it. Won't kick it on and go for 3 on you. You couldn't guard me with the cleanest armor. I got it covered. D's Corner, like, yeah.